This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And a very, very, very happy Friday morning to you. I am Gary Sutton Show. We made it. We made it to Friday. 5 days, Mark. But Mark McKenzie, Gary Sutton with you here on WOYK, where we are the voice of York and York County. The main street of York and York County, and it's all right here at Brooks Robinson Plaza, right here at Wellspan Park, home of the York Revolution, the league-leading York Revolution, although a little closer than it was this time yesterday. And we'll talk to you more about that in a few moments. All brought to you by Ann Stein and Sparler, attorneys at law. They've been doing it since 1937, helping York Countyans with legal advice in all kinds of areas like estate planning, estate administration, business law, elder law, family law, the whole deal. And they've been doing it since 1937. They're located right here in the middle of York at 117 East Market Street, and they're ready to help you today. 8:30 to 5, their hours. Give them a call, 717-846-8811. And, of course, Kindness Worldwide. KindnessWorldwide.org is dedicated to making sure this is a better place. Kevin Smith is out there working it. Was in Chicago this week on a TV or radio show. I forget which. He'll tell us this morning. Talking about kindness. As the word is spreading, that, yeah, we're all kind, but could we do some other things? Could we specifically focus in on some other things maybe we're missing along the way and make it a better and kinder place and make the narrative better? Kevin Smith doing that every day. Why not us? Why not you? Why not right now? KindnessWorldwide.org. Of course, you can text us today throughout the day at 833-478-4729. That's 833-478-4729. And you can answer this question, which is also at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook today. What is, as you go through your daily conversations at work or your debates or whatever comes up, what is a bigger problem? People being easily offended or people not being careful enough about offending others? Which is a bigger problem from your particular vantage point? Just wanted to kind of ponder a little bit this morning. There you go. People being easily offended or people not being careful enough about offending others? That's a big thing there. Don't forget our podcast of our show is up every day after the show at WOYK on YouTube. And speaking of which, we are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, where I'm constantly putting up new things. I have some new interviews up, including one with Sandy Walker, our mayor of York here, that's now up at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, along with YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So all of that going on. We are a busy place here on a Friday morning where we like to wrap up the week. And, of course, today is 7 days until Labor Day weekend, 13 days until the NFL season officially gets underway with regular season games, real football, if you will. Of course, we're just watching all the people who are trying to make the team right now. And then today, among others, is National Red Wine Day. Tannins? National Red Wine Day. With that, we introduced Mark McKenzie this morning with much, much more. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning. It is a busy day. I'm trying to cut things out so we can get to the really good stuff. It is Dream Day. Forgive Your Foe Friday. Yeah. Radio Commercials Day.
Oh, okay, good. We'll play a few of those in a second to celebrate.
Thanks for paying our salaries. I like this one.
That sounded heartfelt.
Well, you know.
Yeah, thanks for paying our salaries.
It's all water under the bridge.
What we do. Yeah, I mean, it's the lifeblood of what we do.
Here is an interesting one, and you could try it too. Race your mouse around the icons day. So on your desktop, again, depends on how many you have. Race your, I don't know.
Is that in case I don't have a life?
Just for fun.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
National Food Holiday, National Cherry Turnover Day.
Ooh. A little specific, but pretty good.
Yeah, I had an apple turnover this morning. It was delicious.
Came close to celebrate.
So,
I love stuff inside stuff. I like biting into something that's like dough on the outside, and then all of a sudden there's the innards. And I did the same. I had a Boston cream donut, this one with the cream inside. I always like surprises like that. I mean, I don't want to be surprised badly, but I want to. I
understand.
You got the point.
So there have been many things that have happened on August 28th in the past. And, I think just mentioning them might give you a new respect for the day and maybe your own existence, perhaps. On this date, 1609, English explorer Henry Hudson, first European to sail into Delaware Bay, and he named it South Bay. Speaking of naming things, of course, it's Delaware Bay. 1830 on this date, the first American-built locomotive, Tom Thumb, races a horse-drawn car from the Stockton and Stokes Stagecoach Company from Baltimore to Ellicott Mills. But here's the thing. The train had mechanical problems, so the horse won.
There you go.
On this date, 1833, Britain abolishes the slave trade. So they did it... what is that, 30 years before we did, basically. On this date, 1837, see if you can guess what these guys did. Well, I mean, why we're mentioning them. They were pharmacists, John Lee and William Perrins. What did they make?
Worcestershire sauce.
That's it.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to do it, and the rest is history. For some reason, I got two bottles of that in my fridge. 1884, first known photograph of a tornado is taken near Howard, South Dakota. On this date in 1898, Caleb Bradham, I'd never heard that name before, but he renamed his carbonated soft drink what?
Coca-Cola?
No, he's not the Coca.
Oh, Dr. Pepper.
Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola. On this date, 1907, two Seattle teenagers start up a local delivery service called, well, at the time it was called American Messenger Company. Today it is called UPS, United Parcel Service.
Nice.
Everybody knows that. I don't know if they were wearing brown back then. Check this stat out. On this date, 1926, Emil Levson, I've never heard the name, but maybe we should, he was a pitcher for the Indians, and they were playing the Red Sox. He had the only known complete doubleheader win. He pitched 9 innings of 2 games in a row.
Wow.
How's that?
Well, it's easy. I mean,
they wouldn't
Dizzy
allow.
Deans did that one time.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
1937, Toyota Motors becomes an independent company.
Okay.
On 1939, journalist Claire Hollingsworth reports that large numbers of troops, literally hundreds of tanks, armored cars, and field guns, are massed along the German-Polish border. And that's because 3 days later, Germany invaded Poland.
Blitzkrieg.
And World War II began.
Yep.
On this date, 1955, Chicago black teenager Emmett Till is kidnapped, beaten, and shot dead by white men in Money, Mississippi. His killers are eventually acquitted. The case, of course, ignited the civil rights movement activity. Speaking of that, 2 years later, on the same date, Strom Thurmond, a Democratic senator at the time from South Carolina, begins the longest filibuster of 24 hours and 18 minutes. And what was he talking against, filibustering against? The Civil Rights Act of 1957.
Okay.
On this date, 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King declared,
I have a dream.
To 250,000 people in front of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington,
We'll have some other
D.C.
facts about that in just a little bit.
1965, the first Subway sandwich shop opens up. What state do you think that was?
See, probably New Jersey.
See, I would have thought that too. Connecticut.
Well, that would be a good one too. I would think Connecticut would be ranked high on that list.
On this date in 1972, Mark Spitz won the 200-meter butterfly at the Summer Olympics in Munich, West Germany. And of
Had
course,
to get him out of there then.
Well, and then right, because of the attack.
Right.
But who
Terrorists.
else? The other real media star, of that Olympics was
The other media star was like you could look
she
at it a
was
different way.
Soviet gymnast.
Yeah, Nadia Comaneci.
Close.
Oh no! I'm sorry. The other one.
It was the first one. Yes.
Yes. The smiling.
Olga
Corbin.
There you go. Yes. The people.
And then, of course,
her.
the other big event of that Olympics, too, outside of the terrorist attack, which was huge, was the United States men losing their first ever championship to the Russians after they cheated at the end and restarted a couple times. That was horrible. Yeah. And they never did accept the silver medals, by the way.
Right. On this date, 1977, Major League Baseball, California Angels pitcher Nolan Ryan strikes out 300 batters for the season, and that he did it for the 5th consecutive year.
Wow.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Nolan Ryan, his name keeps coming up, and how unbelievable he really was.
Yes.
How durable the guy was. That's the amazing part.
Yes, you hear these stats, and it just seems
Nolan Ryan.
Inhuman. I mean, it's like unhuman. I don't know.
Nolan Ryan was 65 and still throwing 100-mile-an-hour
Really?
fastball. Yeah, so
Speaking of baseball, 1987, on this date, August 28th, Michael Jack Schmidt surpasses Ted Williams and Willie McCovey with his 522nd home run. Speaking of baseball, on this date in 2022, a 1952 Mickey Mantle baseball card sells for $12.6 million at auction, and that makes it the world's most expensive piece of sports memorabilia.
when you were a kid, you put the baseball cards in the spokes of your back of your,
Yes.
your bike and it would make that nice motor sound. You thought it was really cool. But if you ever got caught putting a Mickey Mantle card or one of those cards in there, you could be beat up by your friends because
We didn't know.
we did know. We
You think?
knew at that time.
thought
Even, oh yeah. I mean, like if you put in one of the rare cards.
Was anybody buying
See, there were
cards?
cards. I was buying. Well, a lot of people were buying
No.
cards back then.
It's
My friends were all
60s?
buying cards.
Okay.
But what was interesting was you get like cards with this guy Don Mossy. You get a Don Mossy card in every pack of gum you ever got because he was useless and no one cared about him.
Marv
and
Thornberry.
you'd put his cards in the back of your tires all the time.
Yes.
If you got caught putting Brooks Robinson, Mickey Mantle, something like that, you could get beat up. I mean, I'm just saying, and rightfully so.
And on this date, the last one, here's the last one. On this date in 2025, Philly slugger Kyle Schwarber hit 4 home runs with personal and franchise record 9 RBIs. We mentioned that the other day from like 1910. The win, it was a 19-4 win over the Braves at Citizens Bank Park. Imagine hitting 4 homers in a game and 9 RBIs.
I still am incredulous that they bat him at the leadoff spot. So the guy hits home run after home run, but he doesn't have many RBIs comparatively.
Have you ever heard an explanation for that?
No, I haven't. You certainly start off a lot of games with a bang, but bottom line is, wouldn't you want to put him in third or fourth at bat where you have people on base?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have anybody to get on base, but
You would think.
you get people on base, you can clear them off, and I mean the guy he's a home run hitting machine. So and he's consistent every year hitting home runs. I mean, it's not like, well, I don't know what he's going to do this year. Let's put him in leadoff spot. No, it seems like he ought to be somewhere further down the line. Just my thought as an uninitiated. I mean, I'm sure they know the reason why they're doing it, but whatever. I'm just saying, are you leaving a lot of runs on the board that could be put up there for the Phillies? Just a thought.
Yeah, I hear you.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll tell you a little bit about what happened with the Revs last night. Give you a hint, it wasn't that good. And then also 7 things you may not know about Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech on the 63rd anniversary of what I think is probably the greatest speech ever delivered. We'll see if we can have some excerpts for you this morning on that. All straight ahead here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
3-2. Swing and a drive in right. Rutherford going back, gets turned around. Won't matter. It's gone. Into the trees in right field, and Nick Dunn has done it again. Number 24 for him. And the Revs jump to a 1-0 lead here in the first. 2-2. And a swing and a line drive into right. Base hit for Oscar. His first with York. Ramirez around third. Rutherford's throw can't get him. He slides in. And the Revs right back in front. 3-2 here in the second inning on a pair of big 2-out hits. He fires. And a swing and a miss. He blew him away upstairs. Tyler Thornton strikes out the side again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The infield in. The pitch to Dunn. It is swung on. Loop to right field. Rutherford coming in. He'll run it down. Ramirez tagging from third. Throw to the plate. Gets away. He dives home. Peano backs it up. Tomo goes to third. Nick Dunn, a sac fly, and the Revs lead 5-4 here in the 10th. And another fantastic slide from Drew Ramirez.
That was the Revs last night, losing 6-5 in extra innings. Maybe one of the only bad numbers all year for the Revs. And they're still up by 3 games, by the way, in the North Division, but up by 1 game overall for the record over Long Island, who won last night 13-7 over Hagerstown, who's fading fast. They were the first division or the first half Northern Division champions. But York falls to 2-9 in extra innings now, having dropped 5 straight and 2-11 in walk-offs. The Revs dropped to 16-2 against the Ferry Hawks this season. So there you have that. But, the Revs still playing pretty good baseball. That's only the second loss all year to the Staten Island Ferry Hawks, where they are 16-2. Right-hander Rhett Kuba goes to the mound tonight for the Revs. He's 8-4 with a 5.35 ERA. And he'll face Staten Island right-hander Juan Fernandez, who's 1-7 with an 11.9 run ERA. And that's going to happen tonight at 6:10. Actually, at 7 p.m. Tonight. Revs fans can catch the action live on sports radio right here at 98.9 FM, 1350 AM WOYK. All starting at 6:40 tonight. A little different starting time, 6:40. And then 7 o'clock is the first pitch tonight. So there you go. We mentioned a few moments ago that it's the 63rd anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. And there are some things you may not know about that. I've told you over the years about the Mahalia Jackson part, which I'll mention here briefly. But, there are initially no women included in this event. Over 100,000 people attended. The actually official name of the whole thing was the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. And had all these different speakers there, including Martin Luther King. But what was amazing about that, there were other people there speaking as well. But there were no women planned for the dais at that time, back in 1963. It just wasn't that big a thing. And outside of, despite the central role that women like Rosa Parks, Ella Baker, Daisy Bates, and others played in the civil rights movement, all the speakers at the March on Washington were men. But at the urging of Anna Hedgeman, the only woman on the planning committee, the organizers added a tribute to Negro women fighters for freedom to the program. Bates spoke briefly in the place of Merle Evers, whose husband, Medgar Evers, had been assassinated, a widow of the murdered civil rights leader. Medgar Evers and Parks and several others were recognized and asked to take a bow. We will sit down and we will kneel in and we will lie in if necessary until every Negro in America can vote, Bates said. This we pledge to the women of America. A white leader and a rabbi were among the 10 speakers on stage that day. One of the guys who was on stage was Joachim Prince, who was the president of the American Jewish Congress, spoke directly before Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, quote, "A great people who had created a great civilization have become a nation of silent onlookers." Prince said of his experience as a rabbi in Berlin during the horrors perpetrated by Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime. America must not become a nation of onlookers. America must not remain silent, which I thought was really neat, Mark, that, he compared that by saying that's what happened in Germany. Look what happened when they became a nation of onlookers. We don't want to do that in this country when it comes to race. Now, Martin Luther King almost didn't deliver what is now the most famous part of the speech. He had debuted the phrase, "I have a dream," in his speeches at least 9 months before the March on Washington, and used it several times since then. But his advisors discouraged him from using the same theme again, and he had apparently drafted a version of the speech that didn't include it. But as he spoke that day, the gospel singer, his favorite gospel singer, Mahalia Jackson, prompted him to tell him about the dream, Martin. Abandoning his prepared text, King improvised the rest of the speech with electrifying results. The speech makes allusions to the Gettysburg Address, the Emancipation Proclamation, the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, Shakespeare, and the Bible. Hits all those in the speech. It's just unbelievable how it flows from place to place in that speech. The speech impressed the Kennedy administration and helped advance civil rights legislation in Congress. All three major TV networks at the time, ABC, CBS, and NBC, aired King's speech, and though he was already a national figure by that time, it marked the first time many Americans, reportedly including John F. Kennedy, our president, had heard him deliver an entire speech. Kennedy was assassinated less than 3 months later, but his successor, Lyndon Johnson, would sign the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 65 into law, marking the most significant advances in civil rights legislation since Reconstruction, much of that because of that speech that he gave. And so there you go. Those are some of the things that we didn't know about the speech, Mark. And the King family, by the way, still owns the I Have a Dream speech today. Yeah, it's not in the public domain, but it's protected by copyright, which is owned and enforced by King's heirs. So there you go.
The city of York, by the way, will be hosting a Martin Luther King Jr. street dedication.
They are.
And community march today on the anniversary.
Yeah, that actually is going to be a College Avenue from Edgar Street to Belvedere Avenue with special signage rather than a literal street renaming, by the way. The two morning walks will begin at 10 a.m. this morning, one starting at Edgar Street and the other at Belvedere Avenue, converging at Beaver Street before heading to Penn Park.
And one of our texters let us know about that.
Yeah, well, that's going to also, the official ceremony and the sign unveiling will be at 11 a.m. at Penn Park, featuring local leaders and community members. That's all coming up this morning here in York.
So, what else is going on?
What else is going on? Well, let's see. Go ahead.
We don't have a whole lot of time, but check this out. Book donations. Anyway, normally you get a few book donations here, a few there. How about like 100,000?
Back to Hogwarts Day is September 1st, and Harry Potter publishers are celebrating by giving away more than 200,000 copies of the books worldwide. Scholastic is donating 100,000 copies of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone to underserved U.S. communities, while Bloomsbury donates to UK literacy charities. And Pottermore magically lifts digital wait lists for ebooks and audiobooks all month. The celebration comes ahead of the HBO Max Harry Potter series, premiering December 25th. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Well, coming up this morning at 6:35, we have Ted Check, who's the author of Saving the Beast, but he's also our information officer here in York County, and he'll join us to talk about some of the issues that are on his mind as we wrap up the week here on a Friday morning. It's all right here on the Gary Sutton Show, where right now it is 6:30 in time for a news update. Great song here. Living here in Allentown. I think the album was the Nylon Curtain album, if memory serves.
Well, we're living
Here in Allentown. Billy Joel.
closing of the factories down.
Great American songwriter.
Filling time, filling our forms, standing in line. But our fathers from the Second World War.
Yeah. Puts it all in historical context. Yeah, good song. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on a Friday morning. And glad you're with us here on WOYK, the voice of Main Street of York and York County. And the Clancy trial, we talked about that a little bit this last week with the idea of, basically postpartum psychosis and not guilty by reason of insanity. 22-day trial concluded with vastly different depictions of Lindsay Clancy's mental state yesterday on the night of January 24th, 2023, when her three children, Cora, Dawson, and Callan, ages 5, 3, and 8 months respectively, were fatally strangled. And so there's a story, though, that Ted Check has for us this morning. Ted Check, of course, the information officer here in York County and also the author of Saving the Beast, has for us this morning from Vanity Fair. Good morning, Ted. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good. So this Clancy case is before the jury now, but you came up with an interesting article here about the Vanity Fair dropped a writer for winking, smiling at a camera during the Lindsay Clancy trial. What's this all about?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So the reporter's name is Brittany Romano.
Right.
She's a freelance writer, but I guess she had some kind of deal with Vanity Fair to cover the trial for the magazine, and because she said that she grew up with Lindsay Clancy, so
right.
It's going to be kind of a first-person thing. But anyway, at one point, there's a camera that pans the media pool that is in the courtroom, and there's Brittany. And, it's kind of like one of these things that's not like the others because everybody else, all the reporters are very stoic, very serious. And then there she is, smiling, winking.
Yeah.
She batted her eyes and kind of nodded her head. Like it was a bunch of, I'm not a body language expert.
Right.
But there was a lot there in a short amount of time. And, she said, well, hey, I smile, when I'm nervous or whatever.
Right.
But it was, I don't know, it just seemed like it was more than that. And so the bottom line is Vanity Fair dropped her. They pulled her credential, her media credential that she had received through them. They pulled it because they said, after clear conflicts with our editorial standards and processes.
Right.
So, yeah, and they're right to do that because, as a journalist, you are expected to have a certain demeanor, especially because you're dealing with people and subjects, individuals who probably are experiencing things. It's the worst day of someone's life a lot of time when you're a reporter, especially a crime reporter.
Right.
It's just not.
Well, and it's a high profile crime. 3 young children were killed. You got the whole postpartum depression thing, which comes up, and a lot of women get that, and so you're looking at that. Now, Romano said she never had a contract with Vanity Fair, to make this a little weirder yet, adding that she works as a freelance journalist, but and she wrote that she smiles out of anxiety, not indifference. Right. But, it brings up the point, and, you've been in situations like this. What is the protocol, for a reporter? It seems to be, and I remember having served on a jury, and they said, do not interact with anybody out in the audience, don't interact with the defendant, don't interact with lawyers in terms of looking at them or winking, and so you're very aware of that, and I would imagine the same holds true for reporters. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong. It's I don't believe that it's something that's taught specifically in journalism school, like how you're supposed to carry yourself. It's just kind of assumed that, it's just kind of, being in these types of situations, it's an expectation that that your demeanor, how you carry yourself, is going to be one of professionalism.
Right.
I can remember long ago, when I was working for the Dispatch in New York, and there was an unfortunate incident. A child had drowned in a creek, and another reporter apparently was smiling when she was trying to interview the family of the child who died, and this happened right in front of me. And so the family's like, "We don't want to deal with you." Talking about the reporter, telling the reporter this, "We don't want to deal with you. This is strange behavior that you're smiling."
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's so there are consequences to that. Now, she apparently has a point of view on this that the husband did it. Which I haven't really seen too much of, but she's saying the husband had a different set of shoes on when he went somewhere else, and that he may have strangled him, and she got blamed. She's kind of trying to take the onus off this Lindsay Clancy and put it on her husband, which, again, I don't know if maybe Vanity Fair looked at the content of what she's writing and saying, this lady looks like she's, bat blank crazy. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, what I've seen is that there's actually there's a certain segment of people who do believe that.
Yeah.
They believe, and it's predominantly women. They believe that Lindsay Clancy is innocent, and they've been very vocal about it, which seems a little strange. Obviously, you are innocent until proven guilty. So right now, these are just allegations. But it's rare, I think, that you find such strong support for someone who is accused of such a crime.
Yeah.
But then again, on the other hand, we have seen it with the guy that allegedly killed. He was like a healthcare mogul. The shooter's name is
Mangione.
Luigi, or the alleged shooter is
Mangione.
Luigi Mangione.
Yeah.
He's got a big following too.
He does. And it's amazing, and there's no doubt about the fact the guy did it. But people were saying, well, the guy, high healthcare prices, it's okay. You go, right. Really? That's what we've gotten around to. It's interesting on this because I've been following the case. And there's a lot of different things that can happen in this, and the jury has this right now, not to move you off the topic, but so there are basically four basic possibilities of what can happen here with the jury. Number one, it mandates life in prison without the possibility of parole, which requires proof of deliberate premeditation or extreme atrocity. So it is on the lawyers and now on the jury to determine if deliberate premeditation or extreme atrocity occurred. Number two, second-degree murder mandates life in prison with the possibility of parole. Manslaughter, which a lot of people are saying is where it might go, punishable up to 20 years in prison, or not criminally responsible. And in that case, Clancy would be committed to a state mental health facility such as Tewksbury State Hospital, where she is currently held, rather than prison. So, I mean, there's like four different possibilities here of what could happen here with this jury coming out. So, but the whole idea of the way you cover something like this, I think is really an important thing that, you ought not be panning to the cameras or, smiling or waving or winking or any of that kind of stuff. That just doesn't seem very professional to me.
Right. And I think it's indicative of something that I've caught wind of probably over the last year or so, something called first-person syndrome.
Tell me about that.
There are people out there, I'll just say, that think that Brittany Romano thought that she was the star of this whole thing.
Yeah.
When the camera panned to her, that was her moment to shine. And she thought, oh, you're here for me? That sort of thing. It wasn't like Sally Field. Oh, you really like me.
You really like me, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost
so that's a phenomenon that's happened with social media. This first person syndrome.
I'm just going to say,
you're not always the center of attention.
Yeah, the social media cameras show up there, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, how many likes can I get? How many comments can I get? And all that in a moment that is totally inappropriate to that kind of situation. And I think that's that's kind of what you're pointing out here, that, you know, there are moments where that's appropriate and there are moments where it is not. And this certainly looks like one of those moments where it certainly is inappropriate inside an arena that is dealing with entirely something else, not you. Believe it or not, you are not the most important person in that moment, which is, you know, incredible to think, right? But that it's not all about you in that moment. I say that tongue firmly implanted in cheek.
Yeah, and in the aftermath, where Romano was responding to people online, she even said something about, "Oh, thanks, you know, all this, you know, this furor over what, you know, how she, you know, comported herself." She was saying, "Thanks for you know, increasing my, you know, like her
social
her
media
clout."
presence." Yeah.
Yeah, her clout online. She was saying that. "Oh, thanks. This really helps me out as far as, you know, getting my name out there." So
there you know.
Another thing to consider.
Yeah, so there you know what she was thinking. I mean, she's telling you right there, hey, you know, I'm trying to build up my social media presence, and I'm going to do it here at the expense of the process and the system that's supposed to be taking place seriously in that moment. I'm going to talk about me. Which yeah, that's one of the problems, that everybody thinks that they're at the center of every story, which they're not. It doesn't happen in all cases by any means, but in this particular case, it certainly looks like it did. So we'll see if there's anything that comes out of that. And we'll certainly be watching to see when the verdict comes down on this. I don't know if we'll see that as early as today or it's going to take a few days. I have a feeling it's going to take more than a few days to sift out all the stuff that has come up in this particular case, even though to many it looks like it's, you know, shut and closed. But, you know, I don't know. We'll wait and see. Final thoughts on that this morning, Ted?
Yeah, the final thoughts. I thought that Vanity Fair did the right thing.
Yeah, I did too.
They definitely did, and by doing that, they you know, they stopped the narrative, because otherwise, you know, had they supported her, this would have blown up even bigger, and they would have been the recipient of a lot of criticism online. And so whoever is on their public relations team, whoever's calling the shots there, you know, props to them, because, yeah, this was the right move to make. Journalists need to be held to certain standards, and not only with how they cover things, but how they carry themselves.
Well, and the fact that they restored those standards or kept to those standards in that moment and said, wait a second, this is not the way we cover stuff. This isn't what we do. We have a certain standard for Vanity Fair magazine, and this is how we're going to do it. We're not going to print this story. We really don't want her working for us anymore. Boom, there you go. And so I think that's really an important point to this whole situation. As you said, restoring or keeping standards high, and hats off to Vanity Fair for doing that. Hey, Ted, always good talking to you on a Friday morning, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll catch you next Friday, okay? Have a great rest of your week.
Sounds great, Gary. Yeah, you too.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. Ted Check here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We'll take a break. We'll come back. I believe we have birthdays right around the corner as well, and much more in terms of news. 63rd anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, one of the great speeches of all time. We'll be talking about that a little bit with Kevin Smith later on this morning as well at 7:05 on Kindness Day, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Let's go, girls. Come on.
I really like this video.
Going out tonight. I'm feeling
It's Shania Twain, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a takeoff of the Robert Palmer.
I remember with the, except there were guys with a guitar instead of the women with a guitar.
Flip the script.
Yeah. Which is, but it's a good song. It's catchy. Got a little bit of syncopation to it.
She had
And she was hot.
a couple of, and she's still.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hard to
Still a
believe.
good look.
You look at her, and it's hard to believe she is 61 today.
Is that right?
That's right.
Man, oh day.
Another country singer today, Leanne Rimes, is 44.
Okay.
Other birthdays today, as soon as I pull them up.
Okay.
Jack Black,
Oh, Jack Black.
actor.
Yeah.
His biggest movie, I guess, was the last one, the one about the video game, and that he's 57. Jason
What
Priestley,
was the rock one?
School of Rock.
School Rock, yeah. School of Rock.
Great in that.
School of Rock.
And he's a kind of a character actor. So, there's several movies where he just plays this odd character,
Right.
and he's really good at it.
And he's good at it.
Yes.
Yeah, he establishes that out pretty well. And School of Rock, I actually enjoy that movie.
Yes, it was okay.
Just, interesting. We have, by the way, a little place called School of Rock here in New York. You know
That's
that?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know the lady who put it together, and she, kids want that outlet, and now they can get some help. Jason Priestley, 57.
Right.
Jennifer Coolidge, she's like the female Jack Black. She has these quirky characters, and most notably recently in White Lotus. She's also in a lot of commercials. She is 65. Luis Guzman is 70. He's in a lot of movies. If you saw him, you'd say, I've seen that guy
I
a
know
lot.
who he is, yeah.
Scott Hamilton, the
Skater.
gold medal skater, is 68 today.
Right.
And Daniel Stern, he's known not just for his face, he's also known for his voice. He was the voice of, I believe, Daniel in Wonder Years.
Wasn't he also the guy in Home Alone?
Yes.
The tall
Yes.
crook
He was Pesci's partner in crime.
sidekick, yeah. Yeah, the Wet Bandits and all that. So
Yep, Daniel Stern, 69.
I ask a question today, by the way, about what is a bigger problem, being easily offended or people not being careful enough about offending others? And it's kind of one of those difficult questions to answer, I suppose, because every situation can be kind of unique. But the poll asked, what is the bigger problem? And 51% said people being too easily offended by the language others use. 35% said people not being careful enough about language that offends others. 14% said, I'm not sure. Sadly, both was not an option. And get this, Gen Zers and Boomers actually agree on something. Both groups were more likely to say the bigger problem is people not being careful enough about what they say. Millennials and Gen Xers were much more likely to say the main problem is people being too easily offended. And overall, 60% of Americans claim they often or sometimes avoid saying what they believe because others might find it offensive, which honestly sounds like a pretty healthy instinct. There's a difference between having empathy and being afraid of your own opinion. Sometimes you should watch what you say. Other times people just need to hear something they don't like. So how would you answer that? I mean, is it people being too easily offended or people not thinking enough about what they say? It seems to me there's a little bit of both involved here, Mark. I don't know.
I would have to say yes. It all depends on the personality.
Well, I know when I talk to people most of the time, I will think, okay, well, if I say something this way, would they be in any way offended? And you have a little bit of a history in mind if you know them. You say, well, I kind of know where they've been or what they've been, so this might be offensive to them, or maybe it won't be. But you kind of make a judgment call. And I always think before I say something to somebody, how that's going to be received. And like I said,
you
it's
have
not,
to.
It's not because you'll never be perfect on it, but you really think it out a little bit. And
well, you have a public persona, so you have to be careful. You can't be throwing Karen rants, if you will.
Right.
And people will have their phones, will be recording you, and then
Right.
the next thing. But one thing I have noticed.
Go ahead.
In, not a lot of them show up in my feed, but I do see some of these. I don't know what to call them, response videos, where somebody will say something and then the person posting this responds to it. And for the most part, the ones that show up in my feed anyway, they let the other person, the one they disagree with, say what they want to say. Yeah. They let the clip play and then they come back and, have the final word. They're not interrupting or cutting off. And, to me, at least, that's a better way to go, where you at least have the ability to hear both and maybe decide for yourself, although obviously the person posting it gets the last word.
Here's one for you, though. Think about this. Have you ever come across someone who is looking to be offended, like you're walking on eggshells with them because everything you say is somehow going to be translated into, oh, this is an attack on me or my personality. No matter what it is, even if you don't mean it that way, that they're going to take it that way, and they're going to find some way to be offended by that. I kind of disassociate myself from people like that if they do that all the time, because it's not good for anybody involved. But I find people who, if you're looking to be offended, you're probably in the wrong place, okay? If you're looking to say, okay, I respect this person, I respect their opinion. Maybe they said something inartfully, or maybe they didn't say it terribly well. Or I might say, well, what do you mean by that? And they'll, but this idea that you're looking to be offended is bad. On the other hand, people go out there and just say, I'm going to say anything I want to, and by God, you're going to hear it. Those kind of people can be very obnoxious as well. So you get a little bit on both sides there. Try and be somewhere where you respect what someone else is going to say, unless they say it in such a disrespectful way you can't do it and say, hey, listen, we're probably done with the conversation here. So, yeah.
Well, let's change the subject a little bit. How about this? Lions are on the loose. All right. That
right here?
Well, not here,
okay.
But just as bad.
Let's get ready to check the door.
Indiana.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps.
The search is on for the pair after 911 lines in Madison County lit up with sightings. Authorities say they may have also wandered into neighboring Hancock County. Where they came from, no one seems to know, but the mama lion is reported to be wearing a blue harness. One guy even saw them hanging out outside of his house, and a drone operator managed to spot them from the air. Sheriff's deputies following his lead, using thermal imaging drones to try and locate them. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
And he ain't lying.
And
sorry.
see these guys, are very similar, although I'm not sure this is relevant, but they have a show on HBO Max. It's called Monsters of God. Mm-hmm. And these people, it's a takeoff of remember the tiger thing?
Oh, yeah, the Tiger King.
Yes. Well, these people have this obsession with reptiles, snakes, all kinds of things, illegal in nearly every case. And then when they get tired of them, they either get damaged, hurt by them, or they release them into the wild. I'm not saying that's happening here.
What if those tigers outside his house were lying around?
Yeah, really. Oh, ba-dum, boom.
I just thought I'd mention that.
What's happening next time?
What's coming up next? We got Kevin Smith. Kevin, it's always a Good Friday here when Kevin Smith shows up. And Good Friday here on the Gary Sutton Show. But Kevin's going to we'll talk about some of that stuff about, saying things or being offended, or are you saying things to be offensive? We'll get into some of that this morning and some other things related to kindness and some events coming up that you could probably get to all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. So we'll do that with Kevin this morning. Got a lot of news straight out ahead. It's the 63rd anniversary of the Martin Luther King Jr. speech. We'll hit more on that. All straight ahead on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is right now 7 o'clock and time for news.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
I can tell you I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Unlike Liam Neeson, I don't know what mine are yet, but I'll find some someday, a particular set of skills. But welcome to the Gary Sutton Show. We're working all the time on trying to be the voice of Main Street, York County. All here on WOYK, and glad to be coming to you live from Brooks Robinson Plaza, right here at Wellspan Park, home of the York Revolution, who are in the midst of a pennant battle right now for the North Division of the Atlantic League, and up 3 games in the second half, up 1 game overall for the best record of the Atlantic League, and back at it with Staten Island tonight. Different time tonight, by the way, 6:40 airtime with Daryl. 7 o'clock is first pitch tonight in Staten Island. Meanwhile, they're keeping an eye on what Long Island is doing at home against Hagerstown, the first half champion in the North Division, who got clubbed last night again, 13-7. Didn't do their part in helping us out. So we're still up by 3 games here, we being the Revolution. And, of course, the Revs coming back home next week for the final 6 games of their home season with Long Island. Yeah, and then they have 3 with Southern Maryland, and they close out with 3 with Staten Island to close out the season. So the Revs closing down the stretch right now as they close in another playoff berth and hopefully maybe a 3rd straight Atlantic League championship. This hour being brought to you by Pappy's Q Barbecue and Seafood, located at 35A North Main Street, right here in Jacobus, Pennsylvania. You can give them a call at 717-347-7062, and they are ready to provide some of the great seafood and barbecue for you that you've ever had. They're open tonight, 4 to 8. Great time to get out there to Pappy's. And, of course, for the 6 games next week, the final 6 games, they have a place right here at the stadium. As you walk inside, go to the left, and Pappy's Q is right here. But they specialize in just wonderful tastes of great wings. They have all-you-can-eat wings, by the way. They have an all-you-can-eat kind of a dish here. Let's check this out. For $59, all-you-can-eat. Brisket, ribs, steamed shrimp, fried shrimp, barbecue chicken, French fries, hush puppies, snow crab legs. Oh, my gosh, my gut. Okay? Yeah, I mean, $59 for all of that, and they are ready to see if you can eat that. You're going to love all the tastes at Pappy's Q. Surf and turf, like brisket and lobster tail, ribs and crab legs, or some of the great platters they have. Choice of 2 barbecue meats, $24. Choice of 3 barbecue meats, like brisket, pork, sausage, chicken leg, a quarter. You got smokehouse chicken, burnt ends, ribs, all of those. Just these wonderful tastes at Pappy's Q, plus po' boys and mac and cheese like the Piggy Mac, Moo Mac, Krabby Mac, Lobster Mac, and Crawfish Mac, all available for you. Now, yours might be good, but it ain't like Pappy's makes. Pappy's Q is located right there. I was salivating with all the tastes I was thinking about. Pappy's Q is located right there at 35A North Main Street, just behind the Rudders, in the little shopette there across from Smith Village. And they are ready for you now. 4 to 8 tonight, 10 to 8 tomorrow, 10 to 7 on Sunday, 4 to 8 on Monday. Then they're off Tuesday and Wednesday, but back at it 4 to 8 on Thursday and Friday. It starts all over again. The taste never ends at Pappy's Q. Stop on down there and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you tonight and tomorrow and throughout the weekend. Pappy's Q, where Pappy's is stirring it up all the time. WOYK News Time is 7:08. We welcome this morning Kevin Smith back from Chicago, where he was on WGN, one of the big TV stations in Chicago, talking about kindness. Your journey just continues to lead you all over the place, doesn't it, Kevin?
It really does. Well, there's no place like home, Gary. It was an overnight trip to Chicago, flew out Sunday, did an interview on WGN's Daytime Chicago Monday morning, flew right home. And it was a wonderful experience. I was a bit petrified first time on live TV to talk about the movement of kindness worldwide and the launch of the revolutionary platform Rock. I survived, but it's good to be back home. It was a great opportunity to really spread the word about the movement of kindness worldwide.
And I was listening to a little bit of the interview this morning on Channel 9 there. And just very interesting to hear other people who have not heard about it like they've heard about it in this show, where they're saying, well, how do you do this? What are you doing? How do you spread the word? And these two ladies that were interviewing you were really kind of inquisitive about the whole thing.
They were very interested, and word is getting out and it's spreading. And I think people, even in our own community of York, the epicenter, don't realize just how big this is, where it's going, where it's been, what this can mean for York, because York is the epicenter of this global movement. And I introduced that segment intentionally. I wanted people to know that I was chasing kindness in Chicago because of the ripple effects of one act of kindness in York, PA. So whenever I have the opportunity, I give a shout out to York and my home community because I'm very proud of my home community. And I also planted a major seed there about the film. As many people know, Pope Leo is from Chicago. And the film is resonating, 17 awards, but coincidentally, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. They happen so frequently in this journey. But 2 days after we did the private premiere of the film here in York, last November, Pope Leo had a convening of the global film ministry at the Vatican. And there he urged filmmakers not to shy away from what he called the world's wounds. And what he meant by that was to cover delicate but important topics like addiction, like domestic violence, like abuse, like suicide and depression.
Right.
For such a time as this, does all of those things. It actually answered Pope Leo's call before he even issued it. So, I took the opportunity to talk about the film as well. But it was a good interview. It was only 5 minutes, but we cover a lot of material in those few minutes.
Kevin, we talked this morning. Our question of the day today is, are people too easily offended, or are people not careful enough in how they choose the words? And, we talk about conversation. We talk about kindness on how we deal with each other, how we talk to each other, how we receive what each other is saying. As you think about that, I won't say it's the dilemma, but that choice, are people too easily offended today? Are they looking to be offended, or are people maybe not careful enough about what they're saying? Or is there somewhere in between there that we need to live in terms of kindness in the conversations that we carry on with one another around the country?
I think it depends upon the context. On the one hand, sometimes people say things that are offensive, and people are taken aback by, but they're afraid to hold their ground. And that's, kindness is a strength. We should be able to disagree better and respond to situations. And sometimes people say things intentionally provocative. And there's an adage that if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And there are some people, I think, that are taking it to extreme. They don't care.
Right.
And they're trying to provoke a reaction. That is not kind. With that said, how we choose to respond is a choice.
Right.
And I always say math is wrong. In math, a negative times a negative is a positive, or a negative times a positive is a negative. But in the kindness space, if someone comes at us with a negative, with unkindness, if we respond in kind with more unkindness, nothing good happens.
Right.
If we
and
respond,
you've compounded it. In essence,
absolutely. But that's why kindness is such a strength, because our impulse is to come back with unkindness. But if we take the high road, take a deep breath, and we just either ignore it, or we can respond in a proper way, it can diffuse situations. There are many situations, and we read about them all the day. Could be road rage, could be all kinds of things, where an act of unkindness is responded in a non-productive way and bad things happen. People have actually died because of how they respond to unkindness. So I think that self-awareness is so important, but I would argue that in many situations, people are afraid to say something because they're often too nice. They're afraid to defend their principles. It's a little bit a different way of looking at that question.
Yeah.
But I do believe it depends upon the context.
No, I think it's important, and I think the context does matter, and there's no question about it. But the one thing that I think is a common denominator is, do you respect the person out of the gate who is saying what they're saying? Now, if they say it in a disrespectful way, or if they don't have any respect for anything, that you probably want to walk away and extricate yourself from that situation so as not to add on to that or compound it. But I do believe that the one thing that's missing today is the fact that people sometimes don't respect someone else, that they say, well, that person believes that, they must be an idiot, okay? When it maybe is a kind of a reasonable thought that they could say, well, here's why I believe what I believe. I'm always interested, unless it's just something so outlandish I can't even talk about it. I just say, listen, I really can't talk about that. Why? Because I just think it's so, off the charts for me that I really don't understand how I get in that conversation. But I do think respect is something that we need to see more of here in our conversation in the country.
Well, there's 2 of the 8 characteristics of kindness you touched on. One is respect, civility. We certainly need more of that in our world, in our discourse. As individual citizens, as politicians, we need more respect, but also empathy. Sometimes we fail to put ourselves in the other's shoes to ask the question, why do they feel that way? Why are they acting that way? Maybe they're dealing with some of their own traumas or things, and they're just projecting it in a way that's not productive. And often when you try to not assume, but put yourself in the other person's shoes and think, why are they that way? Why are they coming that way? It can really change the paradigm a little bit. And some people are just who they are. You're never going to change them. You don't have to react to them. You got to read the room, read the energy, so to speak. And no matter how hard you try, sometimes it's just not going to end up well, and there's no point bothering. But in other cases, it is good to just maybe listen, have a conversation, seek first to understand, and then be understood. That's a much more positive way of dealing with those situations.
I always like to look on Friday at things that are being done that are kind. And sometimes being kind has consequences that we don't really think about. And here's one, and I'll give you the story here. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit after the break as well. An Ohio principal lost his job after choosing to do something he believed was more important than following the rules, making sure a homeless student he cared about had a safe home and a chance to finish high school. And the story is kind of amazing, Kev. Rob Burnside had spent 31 years in education and was the principal of Lakota East High School near Cincinnati, where he learned that one of his students, Landarius Hayes, was struggling with homelessness. So Hayes, who goes by the name Dee Dee, had been dealing with an unstable home life. He told CBS News that living with his mother was not safe and that his father was dealing with his own issues. At times, Hayes said he slept in a car with the heat running because it was too cold inside the mobile home where his father lived. Despite everything he was going through, Hayes kept showing up to school every day. Then during his junior year, a letter arrived informing the school that Hayes' mother had moved to a new address outside the district. Because of the change, Hayes was told he could no longer attend Lakota East High School. Burnside could have simply processed the paperwork and moved on. Instead, he started to ask questions. This is the principal. The answer he received was clear. Hayes needed to attend school in the district where his parent lived. But Burnside wasn't willing to let a change of address determine whether a teenager got to finish his education. He went home and told his wife, Angel, what was happening. Her response was simple. Well, he can come stay with us if he needs to have a place to live. The Burnsides had already adopted 2 children, but they decided to open their home to Hayes as well. They reached out to his mother and offered him a place to stay. Burnside said he and Angel prayed for an answer. We said, God, if this is your will for this young man to be in our home, make it clear, Burnside recalled. About 5 minutes later, his phone buzzed. It was a message from Hayes. Hey, Mr. Burnside. Burnside looked at his wife. I think we just got our answer, he said. Hayes moved into the Burnside's home where he found something he desperately needed, stability. But there was still the issue of the school. And we'll come back and I'll tell you what happened and then get your take on this, an act of kindness that had some consequences to it. Gary Sutton, Kevin Smith here on a Friday morning on The Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Back with the rest of the story and the answer right after this.
Fox Sports Update.
All right, NFL preseason just about complete. Week 3 kicked off last night with 4 games. The Raiders and 49ers met in Las Vegas. It was not a pretty night for top pick Fernando Mendoza. Threw an interception, his second, and completed just 50% of his passes. San Francisco beat Las Vegas, by the way, 18-12. Mendoza, 25 of 40 for 240 yards with a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 4 sacks for his 3 preseason games. Question now is, who gets the start week 1? Kirk Cousins or Mendoza? Raiders face the Dolphins in Vegas week 1. All right, on the diamond, the Brewers continue to dazzle. They improved on the game's best record by spanking the Mets in New York.
Jackson Chourio coming up. He's got 3 hits, a homer, a couple of singles. He's scored 3 times. Chourio to left. It is up. It is gone for Jackson Chourio. A 4-hit day. And he caps it with a second home run of the night.
That's Brewers Television on the call. Jackson Chourio hits 2 homers. Milwaukee beats New York 8-2 for their league-leading 83rd win of the season. In the American League, interesting times out west. The Astros sit atop the division, but they're only 500, 67-67 after this.
Ball hit to right field, hit well. Back on it goes Spencer Jones. He's at the wall. He will reach up. It's gone. Christian Walker up the field, 2-run home run.
Astros Television on the call. The Christian Walker blast in New York against the Yankees helps Houston win 5-1. And they now have a 1-game advantage on the second-place Rangers. And again, the Astros at 500, 67-67. As we said, things are tightening in that American League West. For more scores, stories, and features, go to foxsports.com. I'm Jay Berman.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
Well, the American League is kind of a sorry state this year compared to the National League, so we'll see if that holds true. But we're back with Kevin Smith here, Chief Kindness Chaser for Kindness Worldwide. We're talking about this story of kindness and saying sometimes kindness has consequences. So this principal and his wife decide to adopt this kid whose parents were, the father had some issues, the mother moved, they were living in a trailer, it was cold, the kid just slept some nights in a car just to stay warm. And so they say, you know, they prayed on the idea of maybe we should keep this kid, his mother moved away, but keep him coming to the school, which had said he can't come here anymore now because the mother moved out of the district. So it goes on and says, but there was still the issue of the school. Although Hayes, the young man, was no longer technically eligible to attend Lakota East High School, Burnside, the principal, and the guy who adopted him, more or less, allowed him to continue going to classes. That decision ultimately cost the principal his job. Burnside said the district told him it did not believe he could return to the school and be an effective leader. He was given the choice of stepping down or going through the termination process. Hayes even offered to leave the Burnside's home and return to living with his mother if it meant saving Burnside's career. Burnside refused. No, you're going to stay with me, he told them. He later remembered exactly what he told Hayes when the two embraced. Dee Dee, you're part of this family. We're not going to turn our back on you. After the Burnsides became Hayes' legal guardians, Hayes was able to return to school legally and continue his education. This past May, Hayes graduated from a different high school. Sitting in the stands were the people he now calls Pops and Ma, Rob and Angel Burnside. Today, Hayes is working toward becoming an aviation mechanic. Looking back, Burnside knows his decision came at a significant cost. He says he cannot get another principal job in the area, but he has no regrets. Because what value can we put on the life of a young person, Burnside said. For Hayes, the difference was even more profound. Quote, when I think about it now, it's like I don't know how I'm here, he said through tears. At first, I was in a cold car, barely eating, barely in a school, just trying to be a good person. And now I'm eating. I'm in the house, being a kid. One principal saw a student who needed help. His wife opened their home, and together they gave a young man something far more valuable than a place to sleep. They gave him a family, safety, and the opportunity to keep moving forward. And for Burnside, losing his job was a price he was willing to pay. Isn't that an interesting story of kindness?
Well, that story, Gary, touches your heart. I mean, there's something to be said for doing what's right and standing on principle, right, which is what that principal did. You know, we often look at things through a black and white lens, you know, like there's rules, but there's a lot of gray. And sometimes if we're strictly rule followers, I mean, if you followed the rules in that case, and you didn't maybe go the extra mile to do what he did for the right reasons, I mean, look at the impact it had in this young boy's life.
Maybe lose a young man.
That's right.
Whereas you say, okay, we know we have rules, but here's a young man who's coming to school, despite all the things that are being thrown in front of him, trying to get it done. By all accounts, he was a fairly decent guy. And, maybe we ought to take a look at our rules here and see if they really apply to this particular moment.
Well, it shows courage, and there is a term, courageous kindness, and often it does take a lot of courage to do what's right, to do what's kind. Often the easy road is not the right road in many cases, and so it took courage, it took standing on principle, and look at the impact, the life of a young man that was changed, maybe even saved, arguably probably was, because someone had the courage to go the extra mile and just follow their heart and not necessarily follow the rules, and was willing to make that choice and pay the price of losing his job. But what he gained in return, I mean, I would argue it's priceless. I mean, how do you put a value on knowing you did something that mattered?
Right.
And what a legacy that is.
And willing to lose your job over, too, from the principal standpoint. But, yeah, absolutely incredible. Hey, you've been talking a lot about the Rock app. People can go and find more about this at rock.org. Ripples of Kindness is the online community for the discerning contributor to social causes. And tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I would encourage everyone to go to rockkindness.org. It's rokindness.org, and it's free. And it's revolutionary. It's never been done before, but you will be able to do acts of kindness. You will be able to see the ripple effects and how your kindness spreads throughout the world. You'll be able to inspire others and see how your one act of kindness inspired more kindness, and accumulate points as you do. And then we can celebrate champions of kindness anywhere and everywhere throughout the world. We will be able to ultimately celebrate champions of kindness by county, by state, by country, by organization, by school, by workplace. And there's so many possibilities of this platform to really inspire more kindness, and kindness can become contagious, and there's a science behind it. So instead of the doom scrolling, let's do some bloom scrolling, and go to rockkindness.org. Users are signing up, and word is getting out. And again, York County is the epicenter, so let's show the world, let's light up the world by all the kindness we see on this platform from York County.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that packed the park for kindness the other week was the seventh inning, when people held up their phones and the lights were on, and the little bit of darkness there in the stadium, and people singing together, God Bless America, and things like that. That was a pretty neat moment that night.
It was a powerful moment. I mean, among all the highlights, that was one of my most memorable, because we had a wonderful rendition of God Bless America. We had fans holding up their phones, symbolic of lighting up the world, showing York's light of kindness to the world. We had 8 children, symbolic of the 8 characteristics of kindness, forming heart hands around Debbie Butcher and Abby Traxler, who sang God Bless America. It was just a wonderful moment. We've captured a lot of that on film and photos. And again, showing the best of York County to the world.
By the way, go out to at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, also Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. We've been putting up things all week long about last week's Pack the Park for Kindness and some of the interviews we had. There was a collage, kind of a video that we did of all that together, including my bad first pitch. But we just had a lot of fun this week putting those things up. So check those out on our social media at YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, which is kind of our base that we do a lot of our social media work. Kevin, great talking to you this morning. Always a good Friday here on the Gary Sutton Show. And looking forward to talking to you again on Monday. But in the meantime, have a great weekend.
Well, thank you as well, Gary. Enjoy your weekend, and thank you for being a wonderful friend and a wonderful champion of kindness.
Thank you so much. Kevin Smith, Chief Kindness Chaser here for kindnessworldwide.org. And don't forget to check out that new website, Rock Kindness, ROKINDNESS.org. And, if you're doing something kind, put it in there. Get it logged in. Start to use that. We're going to be talking about that a lot more here. Rock Kindness, and there's only one K in there, by the way, ROKINDNESS.org. Check it out today and see what you can do with that in terms of starting a ripple of kindness that may spread, eons. We'll take a break. We'll come back next. Dr. Gracia Etienne looks into our mental wellness, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. This hour being brought to you by Pappy's Q Barbecue and Seafood, located at 35A North Main Street in Jacobus, Pennsylvania, right there behind Rutter's and the Shopette. They're open tonight, 4 to 8 p.m., and I'll tell you what, you want to stop out and get some great tastes of maybe their wings or some of the wonderful platters they have with the barbecue meats. They got brisket and pork, sausage, burnt ends, ribs, half rack of ribs if you'd like, or a full rack, chicken, smokehouse chicken, that is, chicken leg, 1/4. They've got it all going on down there right now, or maybe you'd like surf and turf, brisket and lobster tail, ribs and crab legs. It's all there for you tonight. And even an all-you-can-eat dish, $59, which has brisket, ribs, steamed shrimp, fried shrimp, barbecue chicken, French fries, hush puppies, snow crab legs, all just $59. All you can eat. And they've got mac and cheese with the piggy mac, the moo mac, the crabby mac, the lobster mac, the crawfish mac, all right there for you. Kids' meals are available as well, plus po' boys and other kinds of sandwiches, all right there at Pappy's Q, 35A North Main Street, right there in Jacobus. And don't forget, when the Revs get back in town next week, they're out here at the stadium also. As you walk in the door, go down to the third base side, you'll see Pappy's on your left. Yours might be good, but it ain't like Pappy's makes. Give them a call today and get a reservation for tonight, 717-347-7062, or takeout, and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to Pappy's Q. It is 7:32. Little Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson coming back. Good song. Very catchy.
Every night she walks right in my dreams since I met her from the start. I'm so proud I am the only one who is special in her heart.
When Michael Jackson still had his nose.
Mine. The doggone girl is mine.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. Don't forget you can text us throughout the show at 833-478-4729. Answered a bunch of texts this morning, but you're welcome to text in throughout the show. How do you, and maybe the question goes to another level, how do you go about talking with people where you don't want to offend somebody, or maybe you do? But I'm more in the world of how do we talk to people and get them to hear what we have to say? And do you go out of your way to make sure that you can say it in a way where it's not going to offend people? And then what about the other side of the coin where people are looking to be offended? Man, you just go ahead and you say that. You're going to offend me in some way. I'm not one of those people that looks around for that either. I think there's a happy medium in between, and it depends on the situation that you're in. But we were talking about that this morning. That's our question up today at Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, also Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And you are welcome to check that out. And you can also text us the answer to that as well. 833-478-4729. And we welcome in this morning to talk about our mental well-being. We could talk about that all day for Mark and me, but we're talking with Dr. Grassi ATN, who's the head of the York TMS Clinic, which is located at 1806 North George Street, right here in York. Good morning, Dr. ATN. How are you?
Good morning, my friend. Good morning, Gary. Well, thank you.
It's great to have you in this one. We've been talking a little bit about being offended. Man, we seem to be in a society that just wants to be offended. And when you're feeling, I'm just going to take one point of view here for a moment. When you're feeling that way, where you're just waiting to be offended, or on the other side of the coin, if you're looking to just say what you want to say to offend people, that's not a very good state of well-being, is it? At least as far as the mental well-being we talk about.
No, it's not, Gary. My opinion on that subject is simple. Love without truth is arrogance. But truth without love, truth without love is arrogance. But love without truth is hypocrisy.
Right.
So to me, the common thread is the truth. So if you know you're telling someone the truth, you need to establish the relationship with them because you don't want to appear too arrogant. You need to create some level of credibility with them before you come on and be too strong. And also leaving room that you human beings, you may be wrong. It's and if you look at it that way, your approach will certainly help a great deal.
Well, there's two things that you brought up right there that as I listed that. One is respect, and the other thing is humbleness. Humbleness in the fact that in a conversation, you just might be wrong. I know it's hard for us to imagine sometimes in this day and age where everybody seems to be right all the time, but somebody might just have a better idea or you just might be wrong. And the realization to that is a sign of humbleness, but it's also a sign of respect, that you respect someone else's opinion enough to say, you know what, they had a better idea than I did on this, or they there's something about what they said in their argument. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. Let's sit down over a cup of coffee tomorrow and talk a little bit more. Those sometimes are missing today, and I think because of that, we tend not to be in a good mental place then on how we look at our lives each day. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, people tend to be less offended when you're asking for explanation as opposed to when you're accusing them. Just come in a bit. I have an opinion, but I just want to let you know, like a different perspective. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just telling you this is a different perspective that I have. But when you are in that state of constant bickering and fighting, it's not good for your mental health. We were never made for that. People who have peace of mind and people who have some way to calm themselves down tend to be happier. That's period.
I talked to someone the other day. We were talking about mental health, and they said, well, I hear you talk with Dr. ATN every Friday about mental health. And they said, I'm one of those people, and this friend of mine I was talking to said, I've done the whole thing. I've taken medication. I've gone to all the people I need to go to. He said, I haven't had electroshock therapy or anything like that, but he said, I'm not sure where to turn. And I said, well, one of the places you could turn to, at least to look at, to get educated on, would be the idea of transcranial magnetic stimulation, where they do these non-invasive, non-drug type treatments of magnetic pulses, really low magnetic pulses, that kind of wake up the brain and get it to operate the way it should and get you back to feeling happy again. And, you know, we talked about that for a while because, and one of the things that was interesting was his reaction. He said, well, I've never really heard of that. And I said, a lot of people haven't, but it's been here for a while. But in York, it's relatively new. And talk about that a little bit about, this is one of those things that sometimes people fear what they haven't heard about or don't know, Dr. Etienne. And this is something that could be very good for people, but they need to educate themselves on how it works, what's available. And you do that at 1806 North George Street, where people could stop by and pick up a packet of information and get their questions answered by you and your staff there and actually see the NeuroStar machine in action.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, Gary. The term transcranial magnetic stimulation stands for what it is. It's a descriptive term. We are simply stimulating something through the brain using low magnetic pulses. And your friend mentioned the ECT, electroshock therapy, which is quite different because we're using magnetic pulses, very well tolerated. There's no the history with convulsion and that patient not being able to tolerate it. All of that is gone with the magnetic pulses. It's based on the simple concept. When someone is dealing with depression, anxiety, OCD, and even PTSD, the common pathway, regardless of how the disease starts, regardless of what the cause is, the common pathway is that the cells in the brain are either asleep or they are malaligned. They are not communicating well.
Right.
And by doing repetitive stimulation, we can awaken them from their sleep if they were dormant, or we can realign them if they were not aligned. And that allows the communication between the cells, and that's how we get the results from patients. The results are, we have clinical studies showing 86+% response now with 63% remission rate, and these are paper reviewed. There are tons of studies showing it, so it is really a great tool. So the concept, the basic concept is there, the basic science is there, the clinical studies are there.
In many ways, it's like physical therapy for the brain. But if you want to see a video on this, go to @Gary Sutton Show on Facebook, page way down there until you see me sitting in a chair there with Dr. Etienne standing next to me, and check the video out. It's about 20 minutes, and it'll explain about how all this works. It's covered by most major insurances. You don't have to be referred by a doctor. You can self-refer. You can stop on by and get a packet of information. Dr. Etienne, Simone, and all the good people there will show you around, show you what the machine looks like, how it works, and you're going to find out it's a very non-threatening kind of thing. You drive yourself there. You drive yourself home. It's non-invasive. You could be sitting there talking with Dr. Etienne the whole time, and it's like having a conversation, and it is one of those things. It's kind of like going through an MRI for the head a little bit, but 717-699-7361 is the number, and they stand ready to help you today. If you know someone who suffers from depression, whether it's yourself, maybe a friend, a family member, husband, wife, a veteran, a lot of people who came back with PTSD, someone who has OCD, this is the place for you to go to check out it as a possibility. Get that information. Get educated first on it, and then maybe find out that it might be right for you. TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, right there here in York now at 1806 North George Street at the York TMS Clinic. Dr. Etienne, final thoughts this morning.
Well, I think that's the biggest value of what you and I are doing is the fact that what we're looking for is really the education, let people know. It's creating the awareness. So I think, if you're dealing with depression or you know someone who may be dealing with depression, you owe it to yourself to let them know. There's honestly no excuse that I can think of at this point.
Yeah, wouldn't you want to have all the possibilities to help a person live a good, happy, well-balanced life. That's really what it's all about. And so I would not advocate for this. Neither would Dr. ATN if it was something that would be bad for you, something very good for you. And check it out today. York TMS Clinic, 1806 North George Street here in York. Check them out on the web at yorktmsclinic.com or give them a call today at 717-699-7361. They stand ready to help you today. Dr. ATN, continual congratulations on helping people here in York, and we continue the pilgrimage forward, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, and have a great rest of your week. Dr. Gracia ATN here this morning, York TMS Clinic, ready to help you today. YorkTMSClinic.com is where you can go. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more coming your way in terms of news, all here on the Gary Sutton Show. It's a Friday morning on WOYK. This song's on the list. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Stevie Nicks, right? I don't
Yes.
like this song. I don't know why. Never really did. By the way, summer storm warning. You know, storms can jump up at any time during this time of year for some reason. And 1 minute it's sunny, the next it's a downpour. You know what I'm talking about. We've had some of that here lately. Really unsettled weather. Now, if your wipers smear or skip, replace them before your trip. And make sure you have plenty of washer fluid, too. Clear vision does matter, especially on the highway. And if you want help, Jack Giambalvo family of dealerships is ready to help you. They want to be your perfect road trip companion, no matter how long your trip is or how short your trip is. You know, kids are getting back to school now, but people still do weekend trips. The Shore is still available, and people like to get out there. And they've got SUVs for your family, trucks for adventure, sedans for the daily drive. Wherever the road takes you, Jack Giambalvo family of dealerships has got a vehicle to get you there. And you know what you get? You get a hassle-free, pressure-free approach with the Giambalvo family. That's right. It's easy to find the car you love, and they're there to help you do it. But they're not going to put the heat on you. They're not going to put the pressure on you. They just want to make sure that you are getting the car you want. You can go to GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com to find out where that car is today. They now have 285 cars in stock. They're always looking to add. They're used and certified, ready for sale. And when you shop with Jack Giambalvo in the pre-owned experience, you get free lifetime PA state inspections. You get, that's for you and everybody in your family, 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty, no cosmetics there, no. First oil change on them, it's free. Plus, they have financing solutions for you. They have an inspected vehicle that has the Jack Giambalvo stamp of approval on it. You know what that means. Gold standard. It's been happening here for 50 years in York County. And no as-is vehicles. None of that kind of crap. No. And, you know, Jack Giambalvo was named York County's #1 choice in 2026 for Auto Body Collision Center, Oil Change Service, Auto Service Department, a new car dealership. Yep, they've been named for all that. Choice awards here in the community. That's what the community thinks of Jack Giambalvo. Check out the car today at GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com and then go to one of the 6 great locations here in York and Hanover and check out your car today and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. GiambalvoPreOwnedInventory.com and stop out and see Jack Giambalvo family of dealerships right here in York County. Mark?
So let's do a Fox Facts. I don't know if you've ever wondered where the football field dimensions came from. Have you ever wondered?
I never have wondered about that, no.
Well, apparently Fox Facts did. And it is going to play
Awkward
through
moment.
here.
All right, there you go.
Why isn't it playing?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I hear it, but...
do you hear it?
Very faded, yeah.
Oh, I don't understand that. Let's try this one.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Again, it's faded.
I think that whatever knocked out our weather is now fiddling with this.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
that's kind of fun.
Well, in that case, let's jump to some other stories right now. And one of them is...
It's from the...
I got it.
There you got it.
All right, let's do the Fox Facts because I want to know where the field came from.
Fox Facts.
With football season getting underway, here's something you may have never wondered. Why is a football field exactly 100 yards long? It wasn't always. The answer goes back nearly 150 years. Early football, borrowed from rugby, was played on fields that varied from school to school. But in 1881, Yale's Walter Camp, an influential coach and football rules pioneer, helped standardize the field at 110 yards with no end zones. Then in 1912, officials shortened the playing field to 100 yards and added 10-yard end zones, creating the familiar layout still used today. Hash marks arrived in 1933, and in 1974, the NFL moved the goalpost to the back of the end zone. Camp also introduced the line of scrimmage, the snap from center, and the system of downs, helping transform rugby into the game millions of Americans love today. Matt Murphy, Fox News.
Now you know.
Well, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw an interesting thing that happened on a flight to Las Vegas at 35,000 feet, where a pilot marries a Vegas-bound couple mid-flight as 178 passengers became, captive wedding guests. A couple flying to Las Vegas to elope ended up getting married at 35,000 feet after a Southwest Airlines crew turned their flight into a wedding. Sarah Arroyo Montalvo and her partner had planned to elope privately in Las Vegas when flight attendants learned about their idea and decided to organize a mid-air ceremony, Montalvo shared on a Facebook post. The August 13th wedding took place in front of 178 passengers, with the plane's captain, who, by the way, is an ordained minister, serving as the officiant, according to the post caption. The crew also improvised wedding attire and accessories using items from the plane. The flight attendants fashioned a veil and one-ply wedding dress from toilet paper for Montalvo, while the bride's bouquet was made using Southwest coffee stir sticks, she wrote in the post. Fate couldn't have been more aligned, Montalvo wrote, adding that it was the couple's first time flying with Southwest Airlines. She thanked the crew for turning what was supposed to be a private elopement into an unexpected celebration. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for an unforgettable flight, she wrote. The unusual ceremony quickly drew reactions online, with many commenters praising the crew and their thoughtfulness and congratulating the newlyweds on their happy occasion. This is the best thing ever. Would have loved to have been on that flight, one Facebook user wrote. So there's another act of kindness.
Yes.
Right? If we think about it this morning.
A little bit of grace.
Yeah, there it is.
A little bit of grace.
Now, this hour has been brought to you by Pappy's Q. Barbecue and seafood, 35A North Main Street, right here in Jacobus. They're open tonight, 4 to 8, tomorrow, 10 to 7, Sunday, 10 to 8. But, you can call and get a reservation for tonight. It's 717-347-7062 with Amy or Todd Howdy Shell. Todd, of course, is Pappy. Or you can get takeout for tonight. Pappy's Q is famous for a lot of things, but one of the great things, the all-you-can-eat specials, plus they have all-you-can-eat wings. They have all-you-can-eat shrimp. They've got an all-you-can-eat combo that's off the charts. You can find out about that when you get down there. But they got great platters with all kinds of barbecued meats. They got po' boys and mac and cheese like piggy back, boom back, grabby back, lobster back, crawfish back. They're also out here at the stadium for the next 6 games next week when Long Island gets back in here. Pappy's will be open for the last 6 home games, Tuesday through Sunday, right here at the stadium. Now, you might be really good with what you cook. Yours might be good, but it ain't like Pappy makes. Pappy makes some of the great barbecue and seafood you will ever taste. Get on out there today and check it out at Pappy's Seafood tonight. Open 4 to 8. Tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you, or give them a call at 717-747, make that 347-7062. 717-347-7062, Pappy's Q, 35A North Main Street, right here in Jacobus.
So let's do some health news.
A woman in Tennessee has been left paralyzed from the chest down, and her family claims this stems from a drug mix-up at a hospital in Nashville. The family of 72-year-old Glenda Dorton says she went to Ascension St. Thomas Hospital for a routine knee replacement surgery, and that she was given potassium chloride instead of the anesthetic intended for an epidural procedure. Her family says that mistake led to the paralysis. The National Institutes of Health says potassium chloride is a medication used in the management and treatment of hypokalemia, which is when you don't have enough potassium in your blood. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Wow. Did you know that people who run marathons, when they finish the race, they're about a half-inch shorter?
Is that right? I did not know that.
Temporary effects of the back muscles kind of tensing up over the course of the race.
Hitting the ground over and over again. Yeah.
And
makes sense, by the way.
Tomorrow is the 60th anniversary of the final show of the Beatles in a live audience that they paid tickets for, August 29th, 1966.
And coming up next at 8:05, we have Jim McClure to talk about the 63rd anniversary of the Martin Luther King Jr. speech. Special doings in York today on that. He'll talk about that. And then Dennis Owens of ABC 27 News rounds up news from the week in the state. And finally, the exclamation point from Dr. Dick Pandolidis, all straight ahead on the Gary Sutton Show, where it is 8 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth. You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
Here's Johnny.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Well, not Johnny, but Gary and Mark. I guess that's close, although we didn't quite do it the way Jack Nicholson did it in The Shining. It was like, ooh, one of the scariest moments ever in a movie. Anyway, welcome to the Gary Sutton Show, the final hour. Of course, our main sponsors, kindnessworldwide.org and Anstein and Sparler, attorneys at law, 117 East Market Street here in York. But we have this hour sponsorship by Regents Glen Country Club. Now, Regents Glen Country Club is kind of the hottest club in York right now. And I'll tell you what, you talk about a sporty kind of club, a lot of younger people out there, but people having fun. They're just having a great time. There's no stuffiness about it, anything like that. It is just a really neat place to belong. I've been there since 2001 with my wife, Debbie, and we even got married there. That's how much we like the country club there. But right now, they have prices that are off the charts in terms of memberships. You need to check out the membership programs right now. They got great membership promotions by going to regentsglen.com. And they have social membership promotions as well, and they're very, very accessible for the pocketbook. Yes, they are. They'll find one that fits you and your financial situation. And I'm telling you what, it's just unbelievable. They've got, right now you could join as a golf family or golf single member and get 50% off initiation fees. I mean, it's amazing what they have going on out there. It's about 7 minutes from where I'm sitting right here at Wellspan Park. Yeah. You'll feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere, but you're right 7 minutes from the middle of downtown York. You really are. Now, Amanda Martino is the director of membership and events out there, and she loves to show people around. She loves to tell you all about Regents Glen. She's very proud of it. Tell you all about the wonderful Arthur Hills Golf Club, which has been home to the Futures Golf Tournament over the years. She'll tell you about the Fairway Table, great dining there. You can dine inside or outside, overlooking the pool out back where they have pool memberships available. We've got a workout center down underneath. We got like a little shop down there. It has ice cream and things like that. And we got a 19th hole. We've got all kinds of things going on all the time. Special dinners, special events. We've got pickleball and tennis courts. We've got a bocce court out there. Play night bocce as well. It's all lit. It's a great place to be, and there's things going on all the time. It's a vibrant place. Why don't you find out how you can become a member? And again, it's available to any pocketbook right now. Regents Glen Country Club. Give them a call today at 717-747-1919, extension 6. That's 717-747-1919, extension 6. Or go to Amanda at regentsglen.com. That's Amanda, Amanda, at regentsglen.com, all one word. Or you can check them out on their website at regentsglen.com. Tell them Gary Sutton, a member, proudly recommended you check it out today. WOYK News Time is 8:08. We bring in this morning Jim McClure, who is our local historian here. Never to be forgotten, the name of his book, a 275 anniversary of what happened here in York over all those years. And he joins us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Doing well. Got another Main Street topic this morning, Gary, or at least one of York's main streets.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that this morning, where the 63rd anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, right?
Yeah, and there's going to be a march from on College Avenue, one starting at 10 a.m. at Edgar Street and the other starting on Belvedere Avenue, and they're going to walk towards each other at Beaver Street and join at Beaver Street and then go across for Penn Park for 11 a.m. Program. So it's going to be a big celebration. And the heart of what's going on here is they're dedicating the street to Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
So they're not changing the name of the street. It's still College Avenue, but they're going to, put up signs and so forth saying this street is dedicated to Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, it's really kind of an interesting concept this morning. 2 morning walks. They both start at 10 a.m. today. One started at Edgar Street, the other at Belvedere Avenue, and they'll converge at Beaver Street before heading to Penn Park. And the dedication ceremony, and again, it's not going to change the name of the street, but it's kind of a naming for the day. An official ceremony and sign unveiling will take place at 11 a.m. today at Penn Park, featuring local leaders and community members. Are you going to be up there this morning, Jim?
No, I have something else I got to get to. But, it's interesting that College Avenue, some people might wonder why there's no college on College Avenue.
Right.
Why isn't it named
Right.
College Avenue? And that's because York Collegiate Institute, which is a forerunner, York College was there. It was at Duke and College Avenue, and it from the mid-1880s until around 1960, 1970s, it was demolished after York College moved out to its current campus. And Campus Park is there today. It's called Campus Park at that intersection.
Right.
And interestingly, the Bonnie B. Grimes gym next door is named in honor of a black man we all know, a community leader throughout the entire community. We all know Bonnie B. Grimes. That's the old York Collegiate Institute
That's
gym.
right. Yeah, a neat old gym, by the way. So, yeah, there's a reason for that. But, when you talk about Martin Luther King Jr. today, I can't think of anyone on this 63rd anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech deserves more credit. You talk about a guy who went about it in a nonviolent way, went about changing this country. That speech may have changed the minds of President Kennedy and, of course, Vice President Johnson, who became president after President Kennedy was assassinated, and what happened in 1964 for civil rights. I mean, it really it called out to people in a national way, unlike any way that had happened up to that point in time.
Yeah, and interestingly, the ceremony today is going to take place at Penn Park, which has a particular interest. The whole community has supported that over the years, but the black community has been particularly a precious place for them, and that is where the gathering will take place. That was where they would have rallies in the late 1960s. William Penn, York High students would go over there. There'd be protests there. There would be gatherings there. Throughout our history. And so it's an appropriate place to have that ceremony today.
When you think about Penn Park and you think about the history of Penn Park, I mean, I think if memory is serving me well, and you probably are the one who told me this, at one point in time, didn't it serve as a hospital during the Civil War? Am I thinking back correctly?
Yeah, good, Gary. Yeah, in 1862, in the first year of the Civil War, really, military hospital was established there. And it operated until after the war was over with, and about 14,000 patients were treated there.
Wow.
Only about 300 died, 200 to 300 died, which is, a pretty good track record there whenever you figure those soldiers were terribly wounded.
When you think also about Penn Park, what role did it play maybe at the time of the founding of York or the early days of York here? Did Penn Park have a role to play?
It was known as Penn Commons for many years. It wasn't technically a park or set aside as a park or a commons until 1816, and then the Penn family bequeathed that land, which was in the borough of York, and it served as green space ever since.
Martin Luther King Jr., I can't think of anyone who's had more of an effect on cities and towns. You go into a city, somewhere in that city, there's going to be a Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, right? Or a Martin Luther King Street. The profound effect by one man. And much of it, people say, you think about Martin Luther King, you think about the I Have a Dream. You and I have both lived in the world, you in the written word, me more in the spoken word. But, you're always moved by a turn of a phrase, and no one turned more phrases in a speech than Martin Luther King Jr. did.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, that we mentioned Bonnie B. Grimes earlier, and you can just trace the arc of his career coming in very poor from South Carolina, coming here in the 1920s, and then whenever he died in the 2010s, one of York County's most respected citizens. I had the opportunity to walk with our mutual friend Aaron Anderson from his boyhood home on Susquehanna Avenue, which is across from Noel School, Community Progress Council today, and we were able to walk there. And Vonnie said, my white friends went to that school, Noel School, but I had to walk all the way down past York High, where Smallwood School was met, and that was the designated for black children. And so we think about today that our schools are obviously integrated. They're the segregated school is no longer there. Noel School is now a Community Progress Council, which works very hard in the anti-poverty area and a lot of other areas. And so our town has really changed, and that College Avenue is kind of a demonstration of that.
There's other people, too, that sometimes we lose track of who've had streets dedicated. Chris Dolman, Edward and Delma Rivera. I just had Delma Rivera on Money, and her parents, her dad, was the first Latin doctor here in York. And, of course, Bishop Carl H. Scott as well. These are some other people that we may not hear as much about, and yet they have a role to play in the history of York.
Yeah, in the last 10 years, these street dedications have picked up pace. And so you mentioned Bishop Scott on Pine Street and Chris Dolman out of Prospect Street and Lamar Street out in that area. And then Delma and Edwin Rivera, who are the parents of Delma Rivera, who you talked to, their street is dedicated in the area of Renaissance Park on East Princess Street. So, interestingly, Loretta Claiborne, there was a big movement several years ago to name Parkway after Loretta Claiborne, but she declined at the time.
Yeah. Just an amazing story there about people that had a great effect on York, and we remember them. And then today it'll be Martin Luther King Jr. at 10 o'clock this morning, then 11 o'clock with the ceremony at Penn Park. Jim, where are you going to be appearing? You got some dates coming up here. I know you're getting over to York College to do a program over there, and you're always having talks at different places. Tell me about it.
Yeah, the most immediate one is on September 3rd. I'll be co-hosting a York County Writers Roundtable, and Adriel Resch will be talking about liberators of World War II concentration camps at 7 p.m. on September 3rd at the York County History Center.
Oh, that's a great one. I had a friend that passed some years ago who was one of the Army that went in. They said when they opened those gates and they went inside, he said they couldn't even believe what they were seeing. They couldn't believe how one part of humanity could do that to another part of humanity. And so that would certainly be an interesting talk there. And, of course, your book, Never to Be Forgotten, is always available at the York History Center at Pershing and Philadelphia, or right down there at Brown's Orchards. But what do we have coming up next Friday then, my friend?
Yes, we'll be talking about a group that's really doing some interesting things in Red Line, another Main Street project, Main Street Red Line. And this one is the Red Line Roars, who are doing really good connectivity work within that community.
I would love to know someday how Red Line and the Lion got so tied in together. Red Line, one of the more unusual names of places, and I know there are different red lines around the country, but they've attached themselves to that line, and it's never changed. Man, you think about the Lion, you think about Red Line. So we'll talk about them next week and how they're roaring right now with that particular group. Jim, always good to have you aboard. Thank you so much, my friend. Great to have you here on a Friday morning.
Great. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Jim McClure. And Jim McClure, of course, the book Never to Be Forgotten. He's also a member of Retro York Facebook group and WitnessingYork.com hometown history. Jim McClure every Friday morning here on the Gary Sutton Show. When we come back, we'll check in on maybe some Revs highlights and also maybe some of the news you might have missed. All straight ahead. Right here on the Gary Sutton Show, still out ahead. We got Dennis Owens coming up at 8:35 and Nick Bandelides to close out the show at 8:50. It's WSBA, WOYK, excuse me. I knew I'd do it once this year. WOYK, and it's the Gary Sutton Show right here on a Friday morning on WOYK.
3-2. Swing and a drive in right. Rutherford going back, gets turned around. Won't matter. It's gone. Into the trees in right field, and Nick Dunn has done it again. Number 24 for him. And the Revs jump to a 1-0 lead here in the first. 2-2. And a swing and a line drive into right. Base hit for Oscar. His first with York. Ramirez around third. Rutherford's throw can't get him. He slides in. And the Revs right back in front. 3-2 here in the second inning on a pair of big 2-out hits. He fires. And a swing and a miss. He blew him away upstairs. Tyler Thornton strikes out the side again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The infield in. The pitch to Dunn. It is swung on. Loop to right field. Rutherford coming in. He'll run it down. Ramirez tagging from third. Throw to the plate. Gets away. He dives home. Payano backs it up. Tomo goes to third. Nick Dunn a sac fly. And the Revs lead 5-4 here in the 10th. And another fantastic slide from Drew Ramirez.
And, of course, it didn't hold up. They lost 6-5 in the 10th inning. And York, they're not too good in the extra innings. They're 2-9 this year in extra innings, having dropped 5 straight in extra innings. And they're 2-11 in walk-offs. Yeah, the walk-off hit to win the game. The Revs dropped to 16-2 against the Ferry Hawks. Still a pretty good record this year. They're still 3 games up on Long Island in the division, the North Division in the second half. They're 1 up overall for the best record in the Atlantic League. And so they're still doing pretty well. Tonight they're with Staten Island again. They're in Staten Island. A little different time tonight. 6:40 is the air time. 7 o'clock is first pitch tonight, which is a little later than what normally happens. New York righty Rec Cuba will go at it tonight. He's 8-4, 5.35 ERA. He'll face Staten Island right-hander Juan Fernandez, who is 1-7 with an 11.91 ERA. That all started tonight at 7 p.m. right here on 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK or at 989WOYK.com. The York Revolution app and Dugout TV all starts at 6:40 tonight with the airtime 7 o'clock first pitch. I do want to tell you that tomorrow at 4 p.m., Thomasville Country Auction is having a sale. Now, it's an estate sale. Antiques, coins, Luger, I think it's a gun. Yeah, and furniture. They got 2 oak washstands with towel bar, 2 bar stools, miniature cupboard, comics, Hoover, rug cleaner, oak dresser with mirror, oak plant stand, quintuplets fan, angels, not the real ones, but ceramic, Barbie doll bench, vintage dresser with candle boxes, oak pedestal-based table, 2 oak chairs, wing chair. It goes on and on. And you can find out about every item that's up for bid, including that Luger, by going to ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com. Hit auction dates, which is on the left-hand side down at the list of items there, and you can hit August 29th, and you'll see every item up for bid. Now, maybe it's time for you to have a sale. Maybe you have an estate to settle. Maybe you're moving, you're downsizing. Maybe you just have items to get rid of and you just don't know where to go. Well, Jack and Cheryl Hook can be those people. They've been doing this for over 40 years. You give them a call today at 717-764-5403, and they'll come out to your home and they'll answer all your questions about a sale. What to expect, what not to expect, what are the myths about sales, all that kind of stuff. But Jack and Cheryl Hooks are the ones to do it for you. They are York County's professional auctioneers, after all, and they are ready to help you today. And by the way, they're also a great place for a job. If you're looking to have a job right now, helping with a sale, unloading, loading things, getting things out there for display and so forth, Jack and Cheryl Hooks have a job for you. Give them a call today at 717-764-5403, and they will help you with that. Or they'll come out to your home and talk about a sale as well. And they can even tell you how to move the items from your house to their auction house and then get the right kind of sale or multiple sales that will best benefit you and your situation. And if you're selling real estate, Cheryl can do that for you and save you lots of money. Don't you want to do that? 717-764-5403. Give them a call today or head on out there tomorrow at 4 p.m. It's Saturday, August 29th, to a sale at Thomasville Country Auction, Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville. Mark?
So this is, you've heard of robberies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How about stealing a luxury boat and then trying to escape, getting away to a little bit and then being found out and then pulling a gun to try to make your getaway, again, in a luxury boat. I mean, here's the story.
Police say 27-year-old Brendan Norris was killed when he shot at officers who found him on board a stolen, rare luxury sailboat that was anchored at Rhode Island's Newport Marina on Wednesday morning. Norris is believed to have taken the 1968 Hinckley Bermuda 40 from a slip at a marina in Jersey City. Surveillance footage captured him with his arms full of bags near the water before untying the boat and taking off. The boat's owner and his wife reported the vessel, named the Pathfinder, missing on Sunday morning, prompting a search by New Jersey State Police and the U.S. Coast Guard. Police say Norris was killed in a gunfight after he fired at officers, hitting one who's out of the hospital now and recovering at home. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
I mean, that's the weirdest.
Well, if you took Dave's rowboat, that's bad enough, but you're not going to attract that much attention. You take some big luxury yacht, there's a pretty good chance someone wants that back.
And they got cameras everywhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I don't know.
You know, Tony Romo faces 3 charges after his OWI arrest. New court records show Tony Romo is facing 3 charges after his July arrest in Milwaukee County. He was arrested on suspicions of operating a vehicle while intoxicated on July 23rd. He faces 3 charges stemming from that arrest. Online court records show unsafe passing on the right, possessing open intoxicants, and operating a vehicle while intoxicated, which is OWI. All 3 charges filed on Thursday, August 27th. That was yesterday. The former Dallas Cowboys quarterback and CBS NFL analyst was stopped going southbound on I-43 and performed poorly on SFST's standard field sobriety tests. On July 28th, new details emerged as body cam footage surfaced. The arresting officer indicated that Romo was stopped for unsafe passing on the right and cutting across the gore, the former of which is reflected in the citation. An open container was found in the passenger seat of Romo's vehicle during the stop. Romo also refused to take a breathalyzer test following the arrest. He is scheduled to appear in court on September 21st. He's been placed on leave by CBS. On August 11th, CBS Sports President David Burson said there's no timetable for Romo's return to the broadcast booth. But days after his arrest, traffic stop video cam surfaced and showing Romo explaining he was heading to his grandparents' house after visiting a nearby golf course where he played in the Wisconsin Amateur Championship. After a back and forth with the officer, Romo exited his vehicle and was placed under arrest and into the back seat of the cruiser that the officer had.
You wonder what's going through his head. I mean, I understand having a drink maybe when you're playing golf. It's fairly common. But you have to always be thinking about, how am I going to leave here? And I just, he had to know. Would they think he was going to get away with it? Or maybe he wasn't thinking and, decision-making was impaired.
It kind of gives new meaning to Over the River and Through the Woods, to Grandmother's House We Go.
Yeah.
Because he maybe was over the lawn and,
and he was good at his job. It's just.
And I think they'll have him back. I really do. But I think you're going to have a period of contriteness, a period of time where he has to kind of take care of things. And then CBS will quietly put him back on the air, although nothing ever is quiet in this country when you do that. Dennis Owens is up next. He is going to be very vocal about what happened in Pennsylvania politics this week. He's also the host of This Week in Pennsylvania on ABC 27 News, Saturdays at 10. He joins us next here on The Gary Sutton Show. This hour being brought to you by Regis Glen Country Club. You can find him at regisglen.com. Amanda is ready to meet you right now. You can give her a call at 717-747-1919, extension 6. Amanda Martino is the membership chairman there, and she loves to show people around the club and show them all the wonderful advantages of membership, which is right now you can find a membership that's going to fit your pocketbook. I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm telling you that. Whether it's golf at the Arthur Hills Golf Club, the great driving range, the practice range we have, the Fairway Table, wonderful restaurant there that has all kinds of tastes to fit your particular palate. They've got bocce ball, they've got pickleball, tennis, all kinds of things going on there all the time, events happening. It's a vibrant place. It's Regis Glen Country Club. My wife and I were married there in 2001. We've been there for, these 25 years, and we love it at Regis Glen. You can, too. Check them out today. Go to regisglen.com or give a call to Amanda at 717-747-1919, extension 6, Amanda Martino, and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. WOYK News Time, 8:32. Strangely enough, this song is not on my list.
What?
No, I know. I don't know why. I seem to have this reaction of, if it has a certain beat, a certain syncopation, I kind of like it.
I can't imagine you singing along to this.
I don't, because I don't know the words. But it's just one of those.
The Casbah.
Yeah, Rock the Casbah, which I don't even understand why that was.
Well, if you remember,
the Casbah was in the Middle East.
I think yes.
Yeah, but I outside of that,
Morocco?
I don't know a darn thing about the song.
Yeah, that was it.
Here, there's something about the hard driving beat.
I see.
Sharif don't like it. Rocking the Casbah, the Casbah. So I have no idea. But I'm sitting along going boom, 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 boom. And I'm just here I am. Again. Anyway, welcome back. The Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK on a Friday morning. Our weeks go by so fast. And, of course, don't forget the Revs on tonight, 6:40 airtime, 7 o'clock. You got to tune in. Revs trying to close in on the second half title, closing in on having the best record in the Atlantic League, which gives them home field advantage. You want all those kind of things. and that's up tonight. You can check it all out at 98.9 FM or 1350 AM WOYK or at 989 WOYK, where you can listen live to the game tonight, live from Staten Island, New York. All right? However, a lot has happened this past week in the state. And with us this morning, the guy who is with ABC 27 News, he is constantly taking care of debates in the state of Pennsylvania. He is the host of This Week in Pennsylvania and on ABC 27 every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. He is Dennis Owens. Good morning, Dennis. So how are you?
Good morning. Not to tease your audience, but we're very close, and I may have an announcement next week regarding a debate in the Pennsylvania 10th Congressional District, of which you're a part.
Oh, yes. Be very interested in hearing that. Yeah.
We're closing in, but I nothing yet, but that's what we call in the business a tease.
So we would talk about Scott Perry and Janelle Stelson, I'm sure, at that particular point.
That's what we're talking about.
But we're not saying anything about that this morning. Hey, it was a busy week in Pennsylvania this week from the governor's standpoint. He has strongly disagreed with President Trump and joined a multi-state lawsuit this week against President Trump's backed federal order regulating mail-in voting. A lot of people trying to get their heads around the mail-in voting and what's going on here. And it looks to a lot of people like the federal government's trying to take over voting when it's really up to the states to do that. What was your take on it this week?
Well, my take on it is Law School 101 is, and very plain reading, is that the states will handle the time, manner, and place of elections. The Supreme Court ruling in kicking it back, they did not weigh in on the merits of that argument. They just said that the people that filed the suit filed too soon. So it was more of a procedural toss than a tossing on the merits. So it's still to be determined. The problem is the waters are getting muddied. We're now, I think we're just a couple of weeks before those mail-in ballots go out in Pennsylvania, ahead of the November 3rd.
You are correct on that, yeah.
Well, but you use the word busy. If I can pivot to another B word, bizarre.
Okay.
If we can talk about the vaccination and the reported measles death in Lancaster County, which is tragic.
Right.
But then you have the commissioner there, Josh Parsons, who is a county commissioner in Lancaster County, which is ground zero. And he's like, we can't verify, the coroner's not verifying what these deaths are people are referring to. And it was based on, and then there was Governor Spiro went to that press conference and threw out got into a snit with RFK Jr. And by the way, let's be clear, though there are questions about what government has the right to mandate and not mandate and all of that, the science is clear. All of your audience listening, there is bipartisan agreement that the measles vaccine is safe and effective. It works. It saved lives and saved suffering for decades.
Yes, it has. And, of course, now some would have you believe, and I think RFK being one of those, that if you get that introduced to your body, there's a better chance you're going to maybe have autism for your kids, that kind of thing.
Well,
I hear that.
But let's be clear. He brought that up on some vaccines, but not measles.
Yeah.
He even said the measles vaccine is safe, and does not do some of the things others might.
And I'm saying some have raised that question. I am not one of those, nor do I subscribe to that. I am one who was vaccinated for measles, and I turned out basically okay. There was some strange stuff about me.
Well, there might be some discussion and debate on that.
I understand that. Yeah, I do. But, you look at it and you say, if that's worked over all these years, measles wasn't even something we talked about. And now here we are talking about it a little bit because some people are saying, I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm not going to get that. And then they're getting measles. I saw somebody lost their sight the other day here because of the measles. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? I just don't, on something that's fairly proven, something that has been fairly laid out there, rock solid, has worked. I don't get that kind of thinking.
Well, and as I said in our show this week, is that my cell phone rang and it was 2020 calling. It was like we're back to the pandemic skepticism and mistrust again.
Yeah. And I understand.
And I don't really want to go back there.
No, I don't either. I don't either. And I think that the idea is, we had a lot of silliness during that time. And unfortunately, during a very serious time on something we knew nothing about, but we didn't handle it all terribly well. But we've learned from it. And it seems to me if we've learned from it, let's not go back to that kind of crazy stuff. I've seen some people get really sick from that, have had lasting effects, who are, not subscribing to science. And I have a tough time with that. So what else did you see this week? What else is going on in the state that you kind of had your eye on?
Well, the Attorney General, Dave Sunday, has filed another lawsuit against another social media app, and at the same time, yet a third social media app came to a settlement over addicting young people on their platforms.
Right.
They agreed to work to do a better job of protecting them both from content and from addictive behaviors. They're going to put some time limits on how long they can be on, and you'll need a parent to say, yeah, you can stay on longer than 2 hours, and overnight it'll be blocked. But he also filed. Wait a minute. So Meta settled, and the state is going to get about $600 million over 10 years.
Exactly.
It's almost like the smoking settlement, if you remember back in the day.
It was like an $18 billion, $28 billion settlement, and there's still other states out there with other cases later on, but this was a group of states, so we get some money out of that. It's kind of like the whole tobacco settlement a few years ago. You have the same kind of effect that this is bad for us, and you got to kind of watch what you're doing. And if you're contriving stuff to get kids involved in social media, that's not a very good thing.
Correct. And then lastly, I was at the Pennsylvania Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs announced that it is not just giving people with gambling addiction, like a referral to therapists, but they're going to also offer a full suite of services so that, because sometimes people lose their house, they need housing, they need transportation, they lose their car, everything. So there's going to be a wide array of services. But, Gary, you got to admit, there is a very interesting relationship the state has with gambling because last month, my friend, in casinos and on iGaming, Pennsylvanians wagered $600 million.
Wow.
Put almost $300 million into state coffers. Gary, that's the month. That's not the year, that's the month. Throw in $400 million in lottery, and Pennsylvanians wager over $1 billion. And that put $90 million, the lottery, into programs that help senior citizens.
Right.
So the thing is, I could argue the entity that's the most addicted to gambling is the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no question about it. And, I always have had an interesting look at what we use, and we'll do something. We'll have gambling, which has some questionable stuff. Now, I'm not saying there aren't people who can't gamble and handle it well and so forth, but what do they have at the bottom of the gambling? They have the little warning about it's kind of like having a cigarette pack. You got the warning about this could be hazardous to your health, and in gambling, if you have an addiction, here's where you go. And then we say, yeah, but the money raised goes to help senior citizens. Oh, well, that's okay then. Okay, if you're addicted to gambling, it's not that bad because senior citizens being helped, right? I mean, we kind of have that look at it. I always love how politicians twin that up and make it sound okay. Your thoughts?
Well, I agree. And let's throw the number out here right now, by the way. 1-800-GAMBLER is the number if there's an issue. And by the way, there's an ever-increasing number of people that have an issue. And why not? If you think about it, Gary, it wasn't that long ago that if you and I wanted to gamble, we had to do a weekend trip over to Atlantic City.
Right.
We had to go there. Then it became casinos in Pennsylvania, but we had to go get dressed and drive out to the casino. Now I don't have to get out of bed, and I'm on my phone, and I'm potentially alone and getting into real trouble. And it's the accessibility is unbelievable. Oh, by the way, when you're watching the Phillies game or you're watching a game, what's every other commercial?
Yeah, gambling.
And even the other night in the Phillies game, Tom McCarthy, and it's their sponsor. It's fine. Tom didn't do anything wrong, but he's like, JT Realmuto's odds to get a hit this at bat is whatever. Brought
I know.
To you by, right during the game broadcast.
I saw it up the other day at a golf match. I'm looking at the golf tour and they're having up, well, this is where, the chance of him winning now. And I'm thinking, holy smoke, you can't escape this stuff. I mean, it's there all the time. And then, of course, the 1-800 number. And by the way, if you're having a problem, which I almost ought to be followed with a drum roll or a wink, wink, nod, nod, because they're not really serious about it. It's just something you put down there as a disclaimer. And I'm not sure they really are that serious about it. I wonder if at some point in time, much like we have started to control computers for kids, if we'll do some of that for people because the gambling becomes so prolific here in the country. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out.
And the other part is we still haven't figured out what we're doing with skill games. So we got another possible entrant into the gambling monopoly.
Yeah. Hey, good stuff this morning, my friend. Always appreciate talking to you on a Friday morning. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next Friday, Dennis.
See you later, Gary.
Take care, buddy. Thank you so much. Dennis Owens right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Talking about the issues in the state this week. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got a exclamation point with Dr. Nick Pandelides.
I have one quick thing to add to your conversation.
What's that?
I was watching the NFL Network for a little bit last night, and the Chiron, one of the crawls that was rolling across, had that the NFL, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, just signed a new deal with 3 gambling platforms, including FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah.
So they're making it official.
Yeah, they really are. But you know, if you can do it, you can do it in a healthy way, and you don't go over the top. You know, moderation is always the big thing. I don't gamble because it's too complicated for me. I don't want to spend the time learning a whole bit different things, and I'm not really into it. And I've never been a person that like luck too much
on the golf course.
Well, where I have some control of it. That's the only gambling I do, but that's not very much, by the way. Yeah, we gamble on. Yesterday we had a big match. My friend and I, Scott, won over my friends Tom and Rod, and we gambled. We had a drink at the end. That's what we had on the line. A drink. Yes. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more here on the Gary Sutton Show. Exclamation point. Nick Pandelides right around the corner.
Is there? Oh, and I have one quick question. Do we have anything?
You're on the mic.
Yeah. Am I on the mic?
Yes, you are. Please.
Yes. Do we have anything with? Yes, I'm. Oh, is it run? It's
You're
not
on the
running.
air, Mark.
Yes, I know. I'm asking you a question about.
Oh, I was going to the break. I thought we were in break. I'm
I
sorry.
thought you were going to talk about the auction. Thomas.
I already did.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, well, my apologies. Let's go to break.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show. And as we do every Friday morning, we put an exclamation point on the show with Dr. Nick Pamidalides, former orthopedic surgeon who blogged under Dr. Wright. And he joins us here on WOYK. Good morning, Dr. Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great, Gary. How about you?
Doing well. Did you have a great week so far?
So far, so good.
Well,
got down to the beach for a couple of days, and yeah.
Well, it just got better because you're here on this show now, and
I'm so glad to hear that.
Well, yeah, but we wanted to get. We always use you for the last thought of the week, the exclamation point to our show for the week. And what do you have for us today?
Well, I think I had told you before that at our church we were working on starting a parish school, and it actually launched last week. We were hoping to have a dozen students, and we have closer to 20.
Wow!
We have 3 teachers. The head of school is Michael Hornbaker, who was head of school and principal a long time at Lois Academy. So it's been a real joy and blessing to see that come to fruition. I think there's been talk about doing it for years, but we've made a pretty significant effort for the last 18 months, and thank God, by blessings and lots of work, it got opened.
What formed the basis for wanting to start a school like that, Nick?
Well, I think, number one, there are a lot of people that are doing homeschooling and starting their own schools, I think, because of dissatisfaction with the public system.
Right.
And I kind of think that, it depends where you live. You might have different concerns. I think most of the schools in York County, the academics is fine. I think there is a lot of families that felt that there is an underlying progressive, humanistic, ideologic basis for the schools that gets kind of transmitted, in everything that they do. I think the transgender thing was huge, and others as well. For us, it was that I guess would have had to been part of it, but also traditionally and historically, orthodoxy has been sort of fundamentally integrated into every aspect of life. There wasn't your church life and your not church life, your secular life.
There's just one life, right?
Yeah, just one life that has sort of the same foundation and it integrates. So the motivation was to have a classical academic education that was sort of fully integrated into the calendar, the worship, the prayer life of the church. So that was the goal, and we're working through it.
Yeah, so your thought is to get back to that idea of one life where everything's kind of integrated into it, and I think it's kind of healthy. I think it's, one of the interesting things, having been an educator and having come from a family of educators my whole life, I've seen school and education change so much over the last, let's say, 30 years, where it's become this, well, it's not just the public school. There's more to it than that. And I've seen a lot of homeschooling, a lot of church schools, cyber schools, charter schools. It really has widened a lot because people are looking for the very best education for their kids, thinking that maybe the public schools didn't always provide that, and the public schools have not necessarily done the greatest job on keeping up with some of that as well. Thus, people go to those options.
Yeah, and I think anytime you introduce competition into an economic good, and ultimately, or for that matter, a social good, economic and social good, that just brings value. Meaning, the quality will go up, the cost goes down, and in so many aspects of our life, things are better because of that competition, that ability to choose, and and that's one thing that's missing to some extent, and less so now in education, hugely missing in healthcare, and as a result, those services aren't as high value. They're not as good. They're more expensive than they ought to be.
Dr. Nick, congratulations on the school. Best of luck with it. I'll be anxious to hear about some of the results and how that's all going. Always appreciate the exclamation point you put on our show every week. You wrap it up with a bow and put it away nicely.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I'm happy for the opportunity.
Always a pleasure to have you aboard, my friend. You take care and have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next Friday morning.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Take care. Dr. Nick Bandelides, former orthopedic surgeon, blogged under Dr. Wright with some good common sense stuff and something that he's been working on for a while with other members of his particular church and getting a school started. They thought they'd have 12. They have 20. Pretty amazing. Want to remind you, this hour has been brought to you by Regis Glen Country Club. You can find them at regisglen.com, or you can give a call today to Amanda at 717-747-1919, extension 6. I've been a member with my wife at Regis Glen since 2001. And people think, oh, country club, I can't afford that. Well, you can. They've got prices right now that will meet any pocketbook and a whole lot of different kinds of memberships, from social membership to pool membership to overall golf membership, single or family. You can have the Fairway Table there, which is a wonderful restaurant right there on property. Inside or outside, you can sit there outside overlooking the pool. And speaking of which, the pool is part of the membership too. They've got a workout center down underneath there. They've got bocce courts. They've got pickleball courts, tennis courts. They've got activities going on all the time. They've got a 19th hole that's wonderful. As we said, the Fairway Table is a great place to eat and stop by and see your friends. Things happening all the time. Lots of events. Regis Glen Country Club. Check it out today and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. RegisGlen.com or call Amanda Martino at 717-747-1919, extension 6. She'll be glad to show you around at Regis Glen Country Club.
So it's Dream Day. Do you remember dreams?
I do, sometimes.
Okay.
Not long, usually.
Forgive your foe Friday.
I do that all the time. I think, the less enemies you could have, the better off your life's going to be.
You just did a commercial there. It is Radio Commercials Day. The first one aired, forget the year, in the 1920s. Food holidays. It is Red Wine Day. I'll drink to that. Mm-hmm. And National Cherry Turnover Day.
And don't forget that the Revs are on a little different time tonight as they're in Staten Island for yet another game. They got 3 more to go with Staten Island this week. Tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. Rec Koopa on the mound tonight for the Revs. He's 8-4, looking to get them back on their winning ways tonight. Airtime is 6:40. Game time. First pitch, 7 o'clock with Darryl Henry live from Staten Island tonight. Hope you have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe out there. We'll see you Monday morning. I'm Gary Sutton for Mark McKenzie. It is 9 o'clock.